Hey, what's going on, guys? This weekend we got UFC 310 taking place in Las Vegas, Nevada, with the flyweight championship on the line between Alexander Pantoja. He's taking on Kai Asakura in his UFC debut. And this whole card is stacked from top to bottom. Pretty much like every fight I'm covering, from the early prelims to the prelims. There's only like one fight I might not be covering because I'm a freaking casual. I don't really know the people in it. But other than that one, like I'm pretty much covering like every single fight, which is the first time I'm doing this. I usually do the main card, and that's about it. But this time around, I'm gonna try to do like every single fight, all beside one. So I'll be giving my thoughts and opinions. Starting with the first fight of the night between Chase Hooper and Clay Guida. This is Chase Hooper's fourth fight at lightweight, if I'm not mistaken. Since moving up, he's done like a crazy good job. He's been even like faster, stronger. He has that like featherweight kind of speed and skill against these lightweight guys, and he's doing a good job. You know, he has like submission wins, decision wins. His striking's improving. His like everything's pretty much improving. So this is kind of like just him evolving. And I think Clay Guida is going to play like a huge role in like the next steps he takes, because Clay Guida is like one of those like old crafty veterans who's always charging forward. Is just always like just coming at you with like winging, looping punches. He's incredibly strong. He has good wrestling. So he's going to be like a full-rounded challenge for Chase Hooper, because Clay Guida is like just one of those guys that never stops coming after you. You know, you can have him rocked, you can have him taken down. He's gonna always be looking to reverse the position. He's gonna be looking to like fight back, fight out of just pure survival instinct. But in this fight, I kind of see Chase Hooper, continuing to display his advanced like striking ability. He's gonna like display his great grappling. I think I can see him, because he's also gotten really good. He's always had good ground and pound, so I can see him taking down Clay Guida and finishing the fight with ground and pound. If not, I can see him even like cinching up some kind of submission, whether it's head-on triangle or just regular triangle from out, and finishing the fight within the last 2 rounds. That's pretty much who I got for this fight. I'd say Chase Hooper probably wins via ground and pound TKO. I want to say in the second round, like Clay Guida is going to come out real strong. Chase Hooper's kind of going to get a feel for it, and then in the second round, I think he'll be able to make the adjustments and do what he needs to do to kind of get the fight to the ground. I think once it's there, Chase Hooper has like a strong mount. I can see him just ground and pounding Clay Guida into a TKO finish. In the next fight, we got like a little bit of a slower fight, because we got 2 older veterans who like to kind of take their time and really calculate what they're going to do. We got Michael Chiesa taking on Max Griffin. And right out the gate, I think Michael Chiesa, I think he'll probably win this one, just because he's a little bit more wrestling offensive. He has a bit more like strikes in his arsenal. Max Griffin kind of likes to throw. He doesn't throw too much output, so I think if Chiesa is able to kind of mix in the wrestling with the striking, I think that'll kind of throw off Griffin enough to where like Chiesa is able to get some control time in, and like when he's breaking off the clinch, he's able to land a few punches and get him ahead in points. Plus Chiesa is like he's bigger, has a longer reach. He should be stronger. What the heck? I just think overall he has more of a grappling edge over Max Griffin. Kind of see it slightly playing out with Chiesa, slightly outperforming Griffin on the feet. And he's just taking more advantage of the grappling exchanges, and he's able to like get better positions. And I kind of see him just grinding this one out to a decision. Most likely split decision, just because I think it will be a closer fight than people think. I can see Chiesa, just like I said, I think he's just going to have more advantages in the wrestling. He'll be able to kind of mix it up a bit more there, and I think that alone will keep him a little bit ahead on the scorecards. So I got Michael Chiesa winning by decision. In the next fight, we got Cody Durden. He's taking on Joshua Van in his 5th UFC fight. I'm not gonna lie, like Joshua Van has been showing like a lack of defense when it comes to striking. He gets hit quite a lot, but I don't think that'll be too much of a problem fighting against like Cody Durden, because Durden, he's kind of similar. He doesn't do too well with pressure. He also has very poor striking defense. He gets hit a lot, and I think this fight will it'll like whether or not Durden's able to establish like a heavy wrestling threat early on will kind of establish like how the fight plays out. Joshua Van's gonna have just far more power. He's gonna have far more speed. He's gonna be the faster guy. He's the younger guy. You know, aside from the fight where he got knocked out, you know, Joshua Van has looked pretty good. There are times he gets hit, but obviously, like I said, I think against Cody Durden, that's not too much of an issue. And this fight, I just see Joshua Van like knocking out Cody Durden. I can see Durden like shooting a takedown, and he gets caught with an uppercut on the way in, or with like a knee up the middle. So I got Joshua Van winning this one by KO, TKO within 2 rounds. Last fight of the early prelims, we got Chris Weidman taking on Eric Anders. This is another one of those fights, like I mentioned before, where I think Weidman will have just a slight edge when it comes to grappling. I think his grappling threat will make the difference in this fight, where it'll allow him to open up a bit more against Anders, and he'll be able to like let off a bit more strikes. He'll be able to put more of like a pace and like more volume out on Eric Anders, who doesn't have a whole lot of output, who doesn't really like, you know, he doesn't really push the pace too much. He kind of like will settle in and just like clinch it up if he has to. I feel like Weidman will have a bit more of an advantage in this case. I think if Weidman actually utilizes his wrestling and not just stand up on the feet like he tends to do, I think he'll have a better chance of beating Anders. And if I am favoring anyone in this fight, it's probably going to be Chris Weidman. I don't see him like dominating the fight by any means. I just think he's going to like slightly outpoint him, slightly outland him, have a little bit more control time than he does. And I think that'll like kind of just get him through to a decision. So I got Chris Weidman winning by decision. Next fight, we got Randy Brown taking on Bryan Battle. And Bryan Battle's one of those guys who like I've kind of been watching his rise, and he's easily becoming one of my favorite welterweights just because of his character, the way he fights. He's kind of what the UFC needs in terms of like a more stacked roster, because I think he brings like a little bit more charisma. He brings that shit talk. The way, you know, just the way he is, like, I think the UFC needs a lot more of that rawness, that grittiness. So I'm really excited to see Randy Brown fight. Or not Randy Brown, what the hell. So I'm really excited to see Bryan Battle fight this Saturday. And this fight I think will be a lot, like, it'll be really close because they both have really good striking. They have some grappling. They have a bit of everything where they can kind of mix everything up, and it won't be like a one-sided fight for either fighter. I think it'll be a back and forth, but I do think Bryan Battle has a bit more grit and a bit more heart. I think he'll be more willing to stand in the pocket. I think he'll be more willing to exchange because he has good cardio. He has good dirty boxing. And Randy Brown, he seems like, I wouldn't say timid, but he's definitely more like calculated. He wants to stand on the outside. Like, he wants to pick his shots a lot more. He wants everything to be real technical. But Bryan Battle, he's not really afraid to get in there. Like, just mix it up, get hit, and just make it real dirty. You know, I kind of see that's how he wins. I just feel like as the fight goes on, Bryan Battle will be able to let his hands a lot more loose. He'll be landing a lot more strikes. And whether or not Randy Brown gets dropped, I can see Bryan Battle get another TKO win like he did in his last fight. We're still standing against the fence, but nonetheless, he got the finish. If not, I see him outpointing Randy Brown and definitely getting I see him getting the decision if the fight isn't ended. But if it is ended, I see Bryan Battle knocking out Randy Brown. The next fight is looking to be a really good grappling match. You know, we're bound to see some really good scrambles, real good exchanges. We got Evloev taking on Aljamain Sterling. This is Aljo's second fight at featherweight. You know, he looked pretty good in his last fight, but I think this one will be a lot different because the person he's fighting also has a grappling pedigree similar to his. Like, I think he'll do a lot better, like a way better job than Calvin Kattar did against Aljo, because Movsar, I believe he'll be a lot stronger. I think he'll be the bigger fighter against Aljo, and I kind of see their grappling canceling each other out. So we'll see maybe a bit more striking exchanges. But if it does go to the ground, I see Movsar having a bit more of an advantage just because he's the bigger guy. And he's more experienced at featherweight. You know, Aljo might have the speed, he might have like the reaction time and everything like that, but I think overall, like, we've seen Movsar kind of, he kind of knows the game of MMA. He knows how to slightly just outpoint his opponent. Like we saw with Arnold Allen, like it was a really close fight, but he did just enough to get the win. I think we'll see something like that again, where it's like he wins by a decision by just slightly doing a little bit more than Aljo. And I see Movsar Evloev winning this one by decision again, because I feel like that's all he really does. He's a decision merchant, whether we like it or not. That's just, he knows the game of MMA. He knows how to take advantage of the point system, scoring system, and he's going to do his thing. So I think he's going to win this one by decision. And then the next fight, we got Vicente Luque taking on Themba Gorimbo. Oh, man. And this is one of those things where I feel like Vicente, like, all his durability has kind of gone out the window. He's got a glass chin. We saw him fold against Joaquin Buckley. He had that brain hemorrhage thing a few years ago. I don't think he can really like battle it out like he used to, which is unfortunate because Luque is like, he's one of my favorite fighters, especially like, you know, during the whole COVID era and stuff, you know, when he fought Woodley, and like just seeing him from then and like how he is now, it's such a crazy comparison to try to make. And this is just one of those things where I feel like Gorimbo would he's gonna try to like, you know, clinch it up and like you know, make it a little boring and a little like more gritty, and he's gonna try to like, you know, I think he might try to out grapple Luque, which I think will be his downfall, because I think he's gonna get a little bit more tired and Luque is gonna be able to take a little bit more advantage of that. It's just one of those things where I think Luque will have a slight striking advantage, and in those grappling exchanges I think he'll be able to land a bit more, and if Themba's cardio is able to like hold up and like kind of just stay up there with Luque, I can see him definitely getting the decision. If not, if he starts to fade towards the later rounds, I can see Luque starting to pick up his volume a bit more, maybe like go for more takedowns and get control time, and I can see Luque like winning by decision. But to be honest, I don't know if his chin's gonna hold up. I don't know if any of his durability will hold up. So I'm gonna go for Themba to win via decision. All right, the next fight, we got Dominic Reyes taking on the GOAT of the UFC, Anthony Smith. This is one of those fights where Dominic Reyes doesn't really have to worry about the power of Anthony Smith, because Smith isn't known to have crazy KO power. He's kind of plotty, he's kind of slow. He has like, you know, the same few strikes. He has some wrestling. It's not the best. I think Dominic Reyes is going to be stronger. He's going to have better combos. He's going to be faster on the feet. I honestly, I don't see how Anthony Smith can kind of pose a problem for Dominic Reyes. Like Reyes, you know, anytime he's lost, it's because he's been like knocked out, unless it was to John Jones, which I think he won that one. I don't see Reyes kind of having that issue with Anthony Smith, because Smith, you know, though he's like crafty, he's a little bit older, he has a nasty guillotine. You got to watch that guillotine. I don't think he's going to have anything for Dominic Reyes. You know, I might be wrong, but I see Dominic Reyes. I could see him kind of finishing Anthony Smith similarly to the way Khalil Roundtree finished him. You know, where it was kind of like he just gets caught. He takes a bit to actually fall down, but it's more of a stumble. But I see Dominic Reyes following up with more strikes, and I can see him winning by, I want to say, around 2 TKO. And on to the main card, we got Nate the Train Landwehr versus Doo-Ho Choi. And every time I look into this Doo-Ho Choi guy, I always see people talking about his power, how strong he is. Oh, he's really strong. But I never see anyone talking about his inactivity. You know, from what I've seen, this is the first year he's fought 2 fights. He's been super inactive. He has like 1 fight a year. Sometimes not even that. I saw that he skipped all of 2022. I don't know if like that's because of an injury. Maybe I'm like not too caught up in this guy's lore. because I'm not too familiar with him, but the fights that I've seen with him in it, you know, sure, he's strong. He has knockout power, but I think Nate the Train, he's going to have more grit, he's going to have more heart, he's going to have more in his arsenal to kind of turn this into a real dirty fight. It's going to be like more of a barn burner. I think he has good kicks, he has good grappling, he can submit. Sometimes he gets rocked, so that is a factor in this fight because, like I said, Choi, he has KO power. But I think Nate Landwehr is going to like get rocked possibly in the first round, pick himself back together, completely switch the fight around and go for the comeback, you know. I think Nate's like cardio, I think his volume is going to hold up really well. So yeah, that's who I got for this fight. I got Nate the Train. It's pretty simple. And the next fight we got Bryce Mitchell taking on Gracie. And when I first heard that Bryce Mitchell was fighting on this card, I was a little worried because the last fight we saw him get absolutely knocked out into oblivion by Josh Emmett. So I was a little worried about his chin, but when I found out he was fighting Gracie, I was a little bit more at ease because it's Gracie. I think Bryce will have like most of the advantages, like on the feet, on the ground. Well, maybe his grappling might negate Gracie's grappling just because they're both grapplers. But I see Bryce Mitchell having more of an advantage on the feet. So if it is on the ground or if it is on the feet, I see Bryce Mitchell kind of like outstriking him, outpointing him. But even if it's like Gracie that initiates it, I see Bryce Mitchell kind of reversing the position, getting in mount and unleashing just ground and pound. So I kind of see like this is a fight that's kind of not being given to Bryce Mitchell, but it's kind of just like a rebound fight for him, you know, to come back from that Josh Emmett fight. I see Bryce Mitchell getting a submission in this one, which might sound crazy, like submitting a Gracie, but you know, I can see him like I said, unleashing them ground and pound from mount, and Gracie turns and gives his back, and I can see, you know, Mitchell just getting that rear naked choke in and finishing it by submission. If not, I think he wins the decision because I think he'll outstrike Gracie, who I see as just completely one-dimensional. You know, all he'll have are like is his jiu-jitsu, which isn't the worst thing in the world. But when that's all you have, you know, you're kind of a sitting duck in the UFC against someone like Bryce Mitchell, who kind of has more experience on the feet and on the ground. So I got to give this one to Bryce Mitchell for sure. And for the feature fight of the night, we got Gane taking on Alexander Volkov in their second fight. We had Gane beat him by decision in the first time they fought. So this will be an interesting one because we've seen Volkov. He's improved dramatically since they last fought. He beat Sergey Pavlovich in his last fight. So it'll be very interesting to see like what adjustments he can make to kind of make this a more close fight. I think Gane will still have the fight IQ edge. I think he will have the faster, more crisp strikes, especially when it comes to his teep kicks, his jabs. I think Gane, he's the more experienced, more just clean kickboxer in general. So I think he will have the fight on the feet. I think if Volkov wants to win this, he kind of has to KO Gane because there's no way he's going to outpoint him. Because Gane's going to be just way faster. He's going to dart in and out combinations. He's gonna rack up the points relatively fast. One thing also to consider is Volkov's also riding a 4-fight win streak in the heavyweight division, which is it's nothing to sleep on. He's coming up, so this might be his chance to get that title fight. So he might be like looking for blood. But I do think Gane is still just gonna have that edge on him where he's just the better, faster striker. And I see Gane winning this again by decision, if not TKO in the 4th round. And in the co-main event, we got Garry taking on Shavkat Rakhmonov, both of them putting their undefeated streaks on the line. And I think this is a way closer fight than people are giving it credit for. A lot of people think Shavkat is just going to blow Garry out the waters. They don't think Gary's going to have a chance. I think he's not very underrated, but he's slightly underrated as a UFC fighter in general. I think he's got crazy grappling. He's got good striking. Or it's the other way around, but he's got crazy striking, good grappling. He can make adjustments mid-fight. He has good head movement, good defense. It's getting better with each fight. I think he's going to be faster. He's going to have the better kicks. He's going to have the faster jab. And I think Shavkat, sometimes he can show that he he can get hit quite a bit. He doesn't move his head too much. He's willing to take damage, to give damage. His takedowns aren't the best. He's kind of a little sloppy when it comes to his takedowns. He has good wrestling, don't get me wrong. He has good control, good pressure, but when it comes to his actual technique and takedown, he's not the best. Like, he's no Khamzat Chimaev or anything like that. He does have a 100% finish rate, which is something we do have to consider, just because, like, at any given moment of the fight, whether it's like he might be looking tired or Garry might be looking like just really good, we have to consider that Rakhmonov is always looking for the finish, is always looking to finish the fight. And with this being 5 full rounds, I'm not sure Ian Garry can like stand in there with Shavkat Rakhmonov for 25 straight minutes. I think he'll have success in the early rounds. He might even be winning on the scorecards, but I think sooner or later, like, he's gonna get caught. And the power of Shavkat, I think it's gonna be just a bit too much for Ian Garry. Especially with his vegan diet and Rakhmonov being on that horse meat. I think Rakhmonov will have more strength in the clinch. He'll have more knees, elbows. Like, I just see the damage of Rakhmonov, the damage he puts on Garry is going to add up. And as the fight gets closer to the end, like, you know, you'll start to see that damage wear on Garry a bit more and more. And Rakhmonov, I think he's going to TKO Ian Garry in the 4th or 5th round as it progresses especially, and Garry is starting to get more tired. So I got Shavkat Rakhmonov winning this one via TKO or KO in the 4th or 5th round. And the main event of the night, we got Alexander Pantoja defending his flyweight championship against the UFC debut of Kai Asakura. And man, I don't see how people are doubting Alexander Pantoja, because I was rewatching a lot of his older fights, and dude, like, this guy is he's really good. His grappling is insane, his striking is insane, his output's insane. Like, he might be getting a little bit up there in age, was maybe one factor I may consider in this fight. But when you look at who he's fought, like Brandon Moreno, Brandon Roval, Steve Erceg, Davison Figueiredo, like, his resume speaks for itself. Like, he is the best grappler in this division. I think he's the best fighter in this division. Kai Asakura, I don't know, like, you know, I was looking into like some of the competition he's fought, and it's kind of just a bunch of tomato cans in Japan. And I think the new rule set will play a factor into this. He's not used to fighting in this kind of like MMA setting. And this being his debut, I think might like play a factor in like his jitters. I think he might be a little bit more timid, especially because like he's in front of a crowd he's not used to, because he's used to fighting in front of like Japan. I think this will be like just a big step up in what he's used to, you know, like he's a lot more like comfortable where he's at. I think we'll see Kai Asakura start a bit slower, just trying to get familiar with like, you know, Pantoja's movement, everything like that. But Pantoja, I think, will be so comfortable in there that he's not going to waste no time establishing his takedown threat, his striking offense. I think he's just going to go in there, business as usual, and just dominate the fight from beginning to end. You know, we might see him get dropped with like a knee up the middle from Kai Asakura, but I don't think that'll play a big factor into this fight. Pantoja's willing to trade in the pocket. He's stronger, he's faster. I think he's just too well-rounded for Kai Asakura. Like, it might be good for the sport if Kai wins, but I genuinely just don't see like a possibility where Kai Asakura comes into the UFC on his first fight, beats someone like Alexander Pantoja. I see Pantoja just like utilizing his control, his strength, his volume, and I see him either winning by decision or somehow like getting the submission, whether it's like a rear naked choke or something like that. I can see him getting the submission in the later rounds. If not, I think Alexander Pantoja wins this by decision. It might be closer than people think. I think if Kai is going to win this, he has to land like that lucky knockout punch in order to win this. But we'll see if that happens. I think Pantoja, you know, he's proven his toughness. He's proven his durability. So I got Alexander Pantoja winning this one. And that'll do it for the UFC 310. Last time I did a predictions video, I went a little bit contrarian. This one's kind of more just like my gut feeling. I'm not trying to like pick it apart too much. I'm not trying to like over dissect anything. I'm not trying to overcomplicate it. I'm just like, okay, this is just what I see happening. But yeah, let me know your predictions in the comments. Let me know who you guys got. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like, subscribe. But yeah, until next time.